Ladies and gentlemen, here to the $300 minimum 4v4 variants. We've got our current best of 3 series being taken place between EZG and Lethal Gaming. Things are about to get interesting as we load in here for map number 1, hardpoint on Gibraltar. It's myself, Lando Sanders here live from the UMG studio, joined alongside by Jen, aka Lemon Kiwi. Jen, we're hopping in here toward some Gibraltar, of course, as the early nade comes out from Stumpfy. Definitely not the preferred strat off the break on Gibraltar, but I was getting ready to ask you, when it comes down to this map, definitely not one that's a big fan when it comes into the competitive scene, pro players alike. What are your thoughts overall when it comes down to this map, and maybe some kind of major focuses to be looking at when it comes to like rotations, hills, points of view, etc.?
Well, Gibraltar, I think the most important part is rotations. The hills are very far apart, and really you're looking at Castle Road and Fort Courtyard to be the major money hills into this one. Where that double name from Stumpfy, I don't know if that's sabotage, Lethal, paying him the big bucks to kill the rest of his team, but he's making up for it, the 2-piece and 3-piece. Ooh, looking good there, Stumpfy. Steps onto the hill, trying to equalize the numbers. In the last 10 seconds there, probably going to go in favor of Lethal, getting the trades back and forth, but it's going to be the setup to Fort Courtyard that are going to be important. EZG have those spawns already set up.
And props to JHaze actually for kind of picking up the pace on the flank as Parzelion able to join the fight yet again, but does get taken out. So MuTeX in the back lines doing some work with that SMG as you see a big SMG presence from both of these squads. At least 6 or 7 SMGs have been kind of roaming around the map at different points or at different times. As Stumpfy off to a hot start, 8-3. Definitely doing a lot of work when it comes down to that slaying category. But rotation, of course, was made for Fort Courtyard in favor of EZG. They've locked down the spawns and have held on to this hill control for the most part. As Stumpfy continuing on here, already triple positive, and as kind of Fort Courtyard becomes a distant thought in the minds of Lethal Gaming. That rotation now coming in is absolutely crucial because we talk about this next hardpoint being the money hill, as this one's going to be a difficult hardpoint if the guys from EZG can't make a break early.
Well, as a complete hold, like you did mention, of Courtyard on for EZG, heading into Castle Road. Lethal have the setup going, and he got the kills. But look at this patience from EZG, waiting until their numbers are up, or Atura goes down for the squad. Now having to engage this one with only 3, and we're on board here with Teddy Rex already on the 2 streak, and he's gonna hear these players coming around the corner. Gets one, but gets traded out in that process. That's JHaze going absolutely huge for EZG. This is their opportunity now to break Castle Road, but with 36 seconds left, also whoever spawns out could be trying to focus there on turret. There'll probably be one more engagement left, but this was a really nice break from EZG, still up by 30 points.
And this is kind of an interesting fact that I think is a little bit odd when it comes down to this map. Like I said, strategies are continuing to be developed. Obviously comps are still being kind of ironed out heading into CW Nola, but we're actually seeing 2 different assault rifles being brought as the turret actually pulls up the 3rd one here with the bar. But for the most part, we've been seeing steady SMG play for the most part, right? I mean, of course, when it comes into this hill, it's going to be a little bit different just because of the long lines of sight with the kind of middle hard point in a valley type point of view. But like I said, we're seeing MajorManiak with the STG-44. It's been Parzelion kind of rocking the FG, and it looks like Ramby pulling out the STG-44 now as this hard point obviously going to kind of change things up a little bit, but the kind of SMGs for the most part kind of surprising me. The amount of kind of sub-control when it comes down to the first few hard points is a little bit surprising, but still, both teams obviously utilizing both weapons well. And when it comes to one player for Lethal Gaming that I'm looking at who obviously is their main assault rifle player is going to be MajorManiak. Currently on a 4 spree, has kind of utilized this STG-44 so far throughout this entire hill, as well as throughout this entire hardpoint as well. This guy was a Don when it came down to the FG kind of meta to the middle part of the game's life cycle up to this point. He was just absolutely wrecking people with it. And of course, when it comes to the entire Lethal Gaming group, this is known as a search and destroy team, which makes things a little bit scary if you are on the side of EZG. Definitely kind of want to win this map number 1 just because of the history that Lethal Gaming possesses when it comes down to that particular game mode. But like I said, when it comes down to MajorManiak especially, known for his S&D gameplay back in kind of the old titles, the Jetpack days, but is a very solid assault rifle player as well, and is obviously showing that he can be pretty versatile when it comes down to different assault rifles.
Well, I believe that was the streaks coming in from Lethal, where at the beginning of this hardpoint, it was a little bit shaky, giving up the Courtyard, and then barely holding on to Castle Road. But Turret is really where Lethal started setting each other apart. And I got to give it up to MajorManiak, who was on the high ground, completely closing out and shutting out middle map, making it so hard for EZG to rotate through middle and coming around from behind the players inside of turret. But now we are in pit center, 20 seconds left, and this has been lethal finally switching the lead in their favor. And they also have those preferential fort courtyard spawns coming up in 13 seconds. So EZG, although they'd like to get a little bit of scrap time here on this hill to make this a close game, what they really want to focus on is this money hill coming up. But lethal now rotating all 3 players to the next hill. It's going to be hard for EZG to break, but Stumpfy starts off with a huge kill onto Maniac.
And this is the problem for Lethal Gaming. This is the issue that they suffered because they were the ones who were trying to get in the back of this hardpoint. Now they possess the current spawns. They drop the main assault rifle player in the back lines, and Stumpfy continuing to cause problems on a 3 spree, make it a 4 spree, continuing to kind of play as a fly, essentially kind of being in the face, annoying, up in your face kind of play with an SMG, as EZG are not holding and letting this hill go by any means necessary. MuTeX coming around the corner does take out JHaze, but regardless, this was not a hill that gave every single second away. EZG still contesting for time, but in the scheme of things, Lethal Gaming very aware of the situation at hand. They do lock things down and kind of have an overall body stack when it comes down to the last hard point. But now, when it comes down to Castle Road, this hill can change the tide of an entire map when it comes down to Gibraltar. And of course, after losing Fort Courtyard to kind of lick their wounds, EZG desperately needs to get a solid hold, at least early rotation made to this hill. They've done one of those 2 tasks. The second one, though, far more difficult.
Well, they lose MuTeX and another player there from Lethal, so already having to be delayed for this push onto Castle Road, where at least Lethal had a very solid hold on Fort Courtyard, so EZG now should be able to have another solid hold onto Castle Road. They already take Ramby down and MuTeX and Rex, so Lethal really struggling to break onto Castle. But remember, this turret, the one coming up in 38 seconds, is where Lethal took a humongous lead. But EZG should be able to even things up and even take a lead there onto Castle. And just Lethal are struggling to break this. They're trying to exchange nades back and forth, but only pushing 2 into the hill is going to be quite difficult. Nonetheless, EZG having a great solid hold so far.
I think the player models kind of screaming in the background are pretty accurate as how difficult this hill is to break. I mean, it's actually a headache to try and break on Castle Road. It's very, very difficult. Of course, you have a few lines of sight that you can take. It's either the flank coming through cave, which is where Ramby is obviously coming, but the opposite point of view, or opposite direction rather. You obviously have kind of that main street or through middle, and a lot of times all 3 of those point of views are being watched, and it makes things pretty difficult. And that's the reason why we see the guys from EZG after a slow start to the second set of rotations, they lock time down on Castle Road and now bring this one within 4 seconds. But now as turret starts to come underway, MuTeX doing some damage through mid, nearly finding one onto JHaze as well, at least providing some pressure on the EZG lineup to try and allow his teammates inside of the hardpoint a lot easier of a task at that, and MajorManiak doing the work necessary, kind of hanging in the back of the hill, kind of being that last kind of site of defense. And it seems to be working out very well for this group as turret. They did a fantastic job at locking this one down in the first set of rotations. It was really off the back of MajorManiak's play. He's still playing incredibly sound. That's the reason why currently it is the guys from Lethal Gaming who possess the lead.
Well, Lethal really struggling with spawn control back onto turret, and that was EZG spawning back courtyard, so it was kind of like not really being aware of where they're coming from, and EZG were able to funnel through the top of the map and actually retake it. While as the last rotation, Lethal had a way better control. They had, I believe it was Maniac middle map, and they had EZG flooding exactly where they wanted to through cave, and it was just easy kills and easy time there. Lethal retaking that turret, got a little bit of scrap time, but back onto pit center. It's only a 20-point differential between these 2 teams, so you need these players to go off, and that's Stumpfy with 30 kills, and on the other side you got Maniac with 26. But this high ground control will be in favor of EZG. There's going to be a huge important kill that MuTeX needs to win here, and Ramby's going to be by his side. Stumpfy needs to win it, but he gets traded out. So this is a huge advantage for Lethal to step onto the point. This should be an easy kill onto Parzelion, and he gets that one as well. Lethal now should be able to get the scrap time for pit center, and they also have the spawns for courtyard coming up.
We've already seen, even before pit center even started, we saw JHaze kind of making a little bit of kind of a scout play to try to find those spawns. Potentially he does get picked off, and now is setting his kind of task to try and do the same. MuTeX in a interesting point of view, not a corner that you're going to be seeing too many players trying to attack from, as JHaze kind of gets caught off guard there off the dolphin dive. But be looking out for this man Stumpfy, right? 32 and 23 has been a major kind of thorn in the side, if you will, of Lethal Gaming. Constantly on the flank as he just shows exactly that, and I love this kind of passive play. He's just trying to kind of play annoying, wait for his teammates to try to join alongside him in that slaying fight because he's doing the work that he needs to. He's 34 and 23, kind of dodging around here inside of that fort area. And at that, now it's Parzelion in the back lines with the assault rifle after watching his teammate Stumpfy take out a few players, is now trying to find the work on these Lethal Gaming members. Up close and personal fights, MajorManiak and Teddy Rex finding a few, but JHaze as well putting his hat into the ring when it comes down to this fight. Spawns now in favor of EZG, but to no avail. Only for the last, 16, 17 seconds. It's all about those rotations that come in toward Castle Road. We've seen both of these squads dominate on this hard point, and the reason being is either a squad has kind of came back into this game or taken a massive lead. And with the game currently within 1 second, whoever grabs most of this time and usually has the set rotation off the break is going to be the team who dominates the hard point in the end. And right now it is Lethal Gaming kind of spawning in the back. We'll see how this kind of early control comes as Ramby on a desperate flank, definitely taking out the players who were trying to enter in the hill for EZG.
Well, those were very important kills earlier from Teddy Rex, getting the two-piece, completely stopping the three-man push from EZG to get the spawns there for Castle Road. Now a huge I think that's 3/4 of the team from EZG down. Now Castle Road is spawned up. Lethal should have a solid hold for it. They have the setup ready. JHaze is going to be coming through K's side, however, able to take down Ramby, and he's looking to get the spawns, but it's going to be MuTeX with a nice awareness and communication, taking that player down. EZG pushing 2 players to the left. That's a very important kill from Atura. Make it 2, pushing into the hill. He gets traded out. Stumpy's the last one left, and this push from EZG has completely collapsed, and Lethal hold on to Castle Road, or at least the last 6 seconds, but it's EZG ready over at turret.
They are indeed. Like I said, we talked about the team who grabs a majority and at least kind of rotates early toward Castle Road. A lot of the time, whether they're in the lead or not, can start to kind of dominate the game in total as kind of swing the game back in their direction. That's exactly what happens for Lethal Gaming in the last 2 rotations toward that particular hill. But rotation now being toward turret, time to put those subs away and swap them out for an STG, maybe even a bar or an FG at that. But still, JHaze rocking the PPSH, gets naded out of that corner. And nades galore as Lethal trying to make the rush. As it's time to put on your hunger classes along with it as 3 go down. And if you're EZG, this is bad news for you. Why? Because turret, the last few seconds can obviously give the boys from Lethal Gaming a map #1 victory. Less than 10 seconds left, coming from every which direction. And MuTeX, they're walking right into his line sight. EZG will take back control of this hill, but to no avail. JHaze needs to stay up at least until the last few seconds. If a player hopped in, they could be only a few more away from it. MajorManiak, realizing the situation at hand, hops inside of the hill. And now with that 3 seconds left, Lethal Gaming need to try to hop inside the hard point. We see all of those blue backgrounds starting to make their way forward. JHaze and co starting to find a few kills. Pops toward the left side, does JHaze, and takes out Teddy Rex with the headshot. Parzelion doing the damage necessary, and JHaze is staying alive. Him and his team could, without question, make this comeback. They're within 7 seconds and starting to grab some momentum. Stumpfy starting to play spoiler, getting up in the face, doing the work necessary, and just like that, 4 fall, and it will work out. EZG on pit center, make the comeback, and win this one at 250 to 247, a 3-point game as the rotations back and forth were the testament to this game, but it's the one at the end that matters the most. And we see the man Stumpfy here at the end, the bronze star of this match, without question. The most dominant player with an SMG in this game is the reason being why EZG wins this map 1.
Well, yeah, without question, Stumpfy with the 40 kills. We're gonna ignore the double teammate at the very start of the game. Gonna completely erase that from our memory. But I want to highlight Atura as well onto that last hill. Starts with the 2-piece, and then they send Stumpfy to go on a flank to get the retaliation coming in from Lethal. So although Lethal had a pretty strong hold onto turret, and you almost thought that they were gonna win just off of turret, EZG trickling in, forcing pit center to be the final hill, where Atura opens up with the 2-piece. Stumpfy goes on the flank, and then Lethal thought they were going to win, but EZG take it with the 3-point differential heading into the S&D.
I mean, you don't really grab the last 3 seconds of scrap time being as close to the lead as you are if you don't think that you're going to win the game, because it's just like, hey, let's just kind of stack our lead. Let's get 2 seconds away from that overall victory and kind of go from there. But like I said, it was kind of back and forth play throughout this entire hardpoint. We talked about how important those rotations toward Castle Road are. I know at one time it was EZG who kind of dominated in that overall kind of slaying category. At times it was Lethal Gaming, especially to the last 2 sides of rotations where they were dominating when it came down to Castle Road, which obviously gave them the lead that they did possess. But generally, it was kind of the group who rotated early who kind of held the hardpoint for the most part. We didn't really see too many solid hill breaks where the enemy started to rotate back out. That didn't really happen very often. It was just kind of off the back of who can set up, who can play defense, and a lot of the time it was the defense who won basically every single time. So when it comes into Gibraltar, I know, obviously, it's still a map that's still being discussed and kind of being brought up in conversations and whatnot, talking and discussing whether or not it is obviously a viable map when it comes down to competitive spawns. They're still a little bit fluky at times, but generally, when it comes down to this map, if you just rotate and lock down a hardpoint, we saw both teams do well with the SMGs, the assault rifles. Like I said, you can really start to see success, and it's exactly what EZG was able to do toward the end of this game. And like I said, I got to give props where props are due. Like I said, Stumpfy played very, very well. Kind of played, for those who are now kind of involved with the competitive scene, and kind of witness what Kenny does for the side of Team Caliber. That's kind of what he was doing, right? He obviously was in the objective from time to time, but generally what his main role was to do, dominate with the SMG, up close personal fights, be in the face of the enemy, be on the flank, just kind of play annoying. And that's exactly what he did throughout this entire match, nearly dropping 40 kills. And like you said, you noticed toward the end of the hard point, I know you even brought it up, Jen, was the fact that he was, where was he at? Where was Stumpfy when the other team was kind of, where his team was getting the objective? He was on the flank, trying to limit the numbers as they started to pour into the hard point, kind of taking out 1, 2 Lethal Gaming players to kind of allow, a 2 versus 4, or 2 versus 3 rather, with 1 player on your flank, challenging head glitches. I mean, you're not going to win that fight probably 9 times out of 10. So smart play coming in from Stumpfy. I think primarily, of course, you got to give props where they're due. JHaze doing a lot when it came down to the kill feed. Parzelion dominated with the assault rifle from time to time, and Atura's obviously presence as well. But like I said, Lethal Gaming, they thought they had it. I think we also thought they did too. Probably viewers at home thinking the same within 3 seconds, and unfortunately they're not able to do it. However, kind of a sigh of relief probably being brought amongst the EZG team, as now when it comes into search and destroy, I think this is where we're going to see Lethal Gaming start to flex their muscles a little bit for the most part. This is a game mode where they're feeling confident on. For those who aren't familiar with all 4 of these players, primarily search and destroy players in their past careers, known for these game modes, kind of winning a lot of these tournaments in the past. And St. Marie Dumont is going to play pretty normal for the most part. We're going to be seeing a lot of pushes toward that B bomb site when it comes in a radio tower. Constant, like I said, pushes with the bomb. The objective, the offensive team is making their way toward the same site basically every single time. But this EZG team, I think we might see something a little bit different come out from him. I think when it comes into offense, knowing these players a little bit, kind of watching them in a few tournaments from time to time, I think we might see them try to pull out a different strategy and kind of realize the situation at hand, kind of realize their enemy and kind of playing off of them. And we might see them try to pull off a few odd things on offense. I'm curious to see if this is the fact or not, because I think if they kind of play the same way that Lethal Gaming likes to, I think they're going to have a lot of struggles. So I think with the position at hand, I think if EZG realizes who they're playing against, I think we see them kind of pull out some interesting strats, maybe pull out a gas grenade or a smoke at time to time, maybe choose the opposite side, do something a little bit odd. And I think we could definitely see the guys from Lethal Gaming maybe realize such and kind of play a little bit off of that, struggle a little bit at times just due to the off strategies, because I think when you're facing off against a solid team like this and straight up search and destroy, same thing time after time after time, you're not going to win it very often. Number 2 in our current matchup, of course, taking place between EZG and Lethal Gaming. It was a 3-second difference in the hard point as we watched EZG climb their way back on Gibraltar, winning that one 250 to 247. But now focusing in on some search and destroy. This is where Lethal kind of prefer the preferred spots when it comes into most game modes, and we'll see how obviously they do kind of continue on here as far as this first round does go, excuse me. But like I said, as far as this game mode is considered, most likely, Jen, I think it's fair to say, Lethal Gaming, this is where they're going to start feeling a little bit more comfortable. They've got to be a little bit angry, I think it's fair to say, after losing the hard point the way that they did. But now with, like I said, we kind of focus our attention towards St. Marie Dumont. It's pretty standard play for the most part, but I'm curious, honestly, if we see EZG try to pull out something a little bit different. We don't see that happen in round number 1, and obviously it goes the way that it does.
Well, you can see both these teams kind of playing this like a team deathmatch. Everyone just flooded into B and trades going back and forth, and Lethal taking the last 2. But giving that bomb here to MuTeX, who drops immediately there. So already 2 kills in favor of Lethal. Now they have to recover the bomb. It's actually in a bad spot, but EZG were not even watching over it and actually trying to go for a rotation, as Ramby is currently getting the bomb down, has MajorManiak behind him for cover. It's JHaze now the last one left for EZG.
That bomb gets planted, spawning out Ramby, and unfortunately does fire a bullet, so position is known. And MajorManiak, most likely with an STG or a bar, is going to be peeking every few seconds. Of course, great spot to be planting it on, as they can watch it from their spawn or through kind of back archway, as the JHaze is just trying to get in the fight any way possible. But as far as the last 2 rounds go, of course, currently 2-0 in favor of Lethal Gaming. It's really been kind of pressuring onto that B-bomb site. They dominate when it comes down to defense. Don't really allow EZG to kind of even enter in toward that inside fence area. They kind of layer them. They kind of throw out a gas grenade to kind of stun themselves as they enter into the hard point. And when it came down to this round, another gas grenade to meet the guys at the front, and successfully are able to get the bomb down and obviously win the round again. So with that, EZG, curious to see, do they pull out some interesting strats I was talking about? Most likely would be the team to try something out if they start to see some, unsuccessful plays. But Parzelion rocking out the sniper rifle, something solid to see. And it looks like that push toward A could be successful as Atura finding the first one off the break. And Parzelion nearly finding a kill through mid-street, as they've actually not even planted the bomb down. They've actually rotated all the way through A, trying to get in the face of the enemy. And right now, MajorManiak finding a decent line sight, but it's MuTeX who does take out one. That one going to be on Parzelion. And with that said, Stumpfy taking out another. MuTeX left in 1 versus 3. And just as we join alongside of him in his first-person point of view, it's Atura who nearly gets his head taken straight off. As 2 more enemies left to face off here for MuTeX if he wants to overall clutch this round. And it's definitely possible right now, finding the second one. 1 versus 1, Stumpfy versus MuTeX. And right now you see Stumpfy immediately turn his point of view away from the bomb. That's because he just realized that MuTeX wasn't defusing it. However, not the case. Coming around the corner, does Stumpfy check this one in time? And he will, just in the nick of time. Stumpfy will grab this one for the side of EZG, as after 3 rounds of play, they're finally able to chalk one up.
MuTeX was so close to the ace. It was insane. They had no idea he was even there. And if you saw on the minimap, EZG were completely surrounding him. He goes to the very side left of the map, picks up a kill, goes to the right, picks up a turret after the bomb plant. And then instead of maybe trying to clutch the ace, where he had a little bit of time to spare, he goes onto the bomb plant, where I believe the final kill came from Stumpfy. But nonetheless, finally, EZG are on the board after 2 consecutive rounds there for Lethal, as we see another rush towards actually the mid-map and /A side, where first and second blood here are struck by EZG.
And this is kind of an interesting play that we see come out from the guys in Lethal Gaming. I mean, even the blue arrows, when it came down to the start of this round, we're thinking, okay, probably going to be seeing another B hit, because 3 times so far that they've gone to that site, it's worked out successfully for them. Or 2 times, rather. It's worked out successfully for them, so why not try it again? But instead, EZG kind of realized the situation at hand for the most part, and it's kind of an odd challenge that we see from Lethal Gaming, because it's like they wanted to go toward the A site, but it's almost like, hey, we know that EZG is not going to be expecting it, so let's kind of catch them off guard. Let's try to take them off rather than kind of get the bomb down and play defense. They're kind of playing offense before they even got the bomb down in the end. So kind of an odd play that we see from Lethal Gaming. You can definitely see they struggle when it comes down to those offsites. Probably a kind of bingo moment from EZG. Hey, let's probably try to go to A as often as possible, or not even really kind of send anyone toward that particular side on defense. So Lethal kind of showing off and kind of unfortunately giving away maybe a little bit of a secret when it comes to the search and destroy strats. Not really a team who successfully works well on this bomb site, but regardless, yet again, another attack for EZG onto this A site. It worked last time, so why not now? And at that, Stumpfy continuing to dominate when it comes down to the kills. 5 and 2 so far this S&D. Gets the bomb planted, and like I said, has full streaks to work with now, Jen.
Well, it's looking good for him, and EZG completely giving up middle map, and they had Teddy Rex in top restaurant there for Lethal, not able to prevent the bomb from going down, but EZG dropping members fast. JHaze finally there for the trade, but he gets traded out in the process. JHaze, the last one left, able to win that just barely versus MuTeX. Now Ramby left in the 1 versus 1 is chasing this kill. JHaze has a turnaround. Ramby there for the kill, but can he get the plant? And no, he's gonna have to run away from that one. So nice round out of EZG. They lost 2 members very early, so very surprising that Lethal didn't get the round win from there.
And at that, I believe in that situation, when we see the bomb go down, I believe it's MuTeX who actually takes out MajorManiak in a team kill. So definitely kind of a sequence where maybe that kill doesn't go the way. They have an extra member to kind of take on the EZG members. A lot less time. And in the end, obviously, it's another round that goes the way of EZG. Success when it comes down to that A site. As and back-to-back rounds, we see pushes made toward A, all of them going the way of EZG, as Teddy Rex trying to turn things around, does take out Stumpfy, so no worry of streaks that could be coming from the skies at any moment, as they kind of work on their strengths on that B bomb site. Getting the bomb down right now, most likely, will be a member of as MuTeX does do so, finding a few kills through mid-map instead of top red. And like I said, playing toward your strengths when it comes into offense especially is incredibly key. I believe the Concaster was glitched out. It was actually MuTeX who gets the plant down. who wasn't actually inside top red. But like I said, it's EZG who prefers their game modes and kind of prefers themselves at A. You've seen them in 2-for-1 offensive rounds work out on A rather than B. And for the side of Lethal Gaming, it's worked out the exact same way. They have success when it comes down to the B bomb site. It's worked 2 out of the 3 times. The time where it hasn't, they made their way toward A. So when it comes down to this next push, I'm curious to see, like I said, do they make their way toward A yet again? Does EZG? It looks like they're going to attempt their way toward B, and that's the reason why we're seeing Lethal Gaming spread 2 to either bomb site, just because of the success that we've seen them have on the off bomb. That's the reason why we see the spread. But coming from the skies, Stumpfy calling the streaks, takes out MuTeX, maybe getting some information at that, and as soon as the plant will go through, you're going to see them trying to set up camp. As it looks like Ramby does take out Parzelion. Bomb goes down regardless, and with a man disadvantage at the moment, we'll see how Lethal Gaming tries to retake.
Oh, and they lose another man, so now 2 versus 2, but EZG have the bomb down. Let's jump on board here with JHaze. They want to keep an eye on the bomb without necessarily poking out and getting picked in the process. Where Lethal are setting up for picks. Ramby's being extremely aggressive there, but gets actually traded out there by Streaks. So EZG, who started off 0-2, now leading 4-3.
Stumpfy's like, there's no way I'm not going to win this round. Like, it's just not happening. I believe calls in double streaks. I want to say is the mortar. Actually pulls out the mortars for that round. I thought it was the glide bomb for a second, but no, pulls out the mortars and obviously does the job necessary. Using 2 streaks in that last round as they finally have a successful offensive push when it comes down to B. Now looking on here with Lethal Gaming down in their preferred game mode. Granted, it is only a round, but still. We'll see what they can do here in this 8th one. Tossing at the pre-nade. Does anything get taken out here from MuTeX? Not able to find anything, and Parzelion lingering through that A site over on Lookout Post is able to trade one. So right now, 3 versus 2, man advantage right now in favor of the offensive team being Lethal. It's now JHaze. Left all by himself, tries to get the headshot there onto Teddy Rex, who's sitting inside the top red. That's where he will meet his defeat. As we'll see Lethal Gaming walk away with this round. And speaking of those, 8 played, and we're level at 4 here, Jen.
Well, this is just going to be back and forth, and it was not looking good for EZG at the beginning when they started off 0-2, but now how back and forth this is being, this could be round 11. This could be just as close as the hard point went, but let's take a look at the offensive team. It's going to be EZG. Now, we saw some weird pushes towards A that actually worked out in their favor, and it looks like they're going to try their hand at it again, giving that bomb there to Atura, leaving middle map pretty much all open except Parzelion, who has, I believe, the sniper watching over that. Smokes being, or I think that was nades being exchanged, and look how aggressive Ramby's being. He's pushed all the way up to A and gets that initial first blood. And JHaze making a second onto Atura, looking for Stumpfy around the corner, who's actually probably calling in streaks.
Oh,
They're
no.
right beside each other. Ramby didn't spot him. Stumpfy gets the trade, now looking for the plant.
And MuTeX sitting in top red, and this is where Stumpfy's definitely going to struggle. Now has no teammates to help alongside of him. And in some cases, the streak will not equal out to a round victory, and that's something that it is very important when it comes down to the future of this match, as it could not have a very long future now, as Lethal Gaming find their 5th round. And this is obviously very worrisome for EZG because they're most likely relying on Stumpfy to have that to try and secure a round. But instead, as he starts to call the streaks, his teammates have some issues. Thankfully, out of that streak, he's able to find a kill just because he's playing so passively and it happens to be lingering around a corner. But at that, 5th round found for Lethal Gaming, and they are making another push toward B, except for Teddy Rex. He's making his way toward this opposite bomb site. They realize that he is the hot man so far off this game. He wants to find the first blood, tosses out the stun, and I love that play for him. But I believe Stumpfy finds it regardless. I was going to say Teddy Rex most likely is going to find the first blood, but it's the SMG man, the guy who's been so hot in this match with the PPSH, who finds the first blood for his team. Bomb goes down for Ramby, and we'll see how Lethal Gaming can do without their 4th member, Teddy Rex, in this round number 10. How does EZG try to retake it?
Sorry, that was a very weird bait out of Teddy Rex at the beginning. Although if he would have won that gunfight, that would have been in their favor. Nonetheless, his team is able to get the bomb down. Huge TPs there from Maniac. Now switching on over, Parzelions from behind. EZG goes down. 6-4 will be your final score here for Lethal. After EZG taking that first hard point by 3 points, we'll be heading into CTF on London Docks.
And I'd imagine, right, if you're Lethal Gaming at this point, you're saying, okay, so we should have won this one in a 2-0. Like generally, you were up in the hard point of Gibraltar. You should have closed that one out. Obviously, the game was in their hands. They kind of let it slip. Now in Search and Destroy, of course, we end up seeing them have a strong performance as per usual. They kind of work their way toward that B bomb site like I was talking about. It's kind of like, for those who are like a fan of basketball, it's kind of like playing post. Like if you're like a strong post player and you just kind of work it into the paint time and time and time again, that's exactly what we're seeing from Lethal Gaming in that last one. They were just kind of playing to their strengths. You saw them rarely go to the offsite. They know what works for them. They're not going to try to change things up. They're not going to try to be unorthodox many times. And so they went to, I think they went to the A bomb site once, didn't work out for them. Not going to do it again. If we're just going to keep going to the B bomb site, it's going to work out for us. It obviously did. I think it was Ramby and MuTeX who both finished off with double digits. I believe 21 combined for them, so obviously had a strong performance when it came down to this map number 2 for those two players specifically. But when it came down to offense for EZG, I was kind of taking track as the game kind of started to come to a close of their offensive pushes. I believe out of the ones that we saw from them, I believe their first push was toward B. Doesn't work out. They obviously realize the situation at hand. Then they have, I believe, 2 successful plants when it came down to A, or when it came down to on lookout post. Not a problem. They start to see some success. Then they make their way back toward B. They win, I think, a pretty big clutch moment, and they obviously start to kind of progress themselves. So there were different moments where we saw EZG having struggles on offense, then having a lot of success, then struggling on defense, and then kind of back and forth we saw them have some different moments. But generally, they couldn't really find a site that worked out for them on a consistent basis. Like I said, at times B would work out, at times A would work out, but they weren't really kind of sticking to the major plan. And that's the issue when you aren't really the preferred team in Search and Destroy. If you aren't maybe as talented as a group of Search and Destroy players, it's difficult to kind of work the main strat of this match because you're essentially all you're trying to do is trying to counter the other team. So I feel like what we were seeing from EZG so far throughout that entire last match was trying to play toward what Lethal wouldn't do or what they wouldn't be checking out, what they wouldn't be doing, and not maybe playing toward their own strengths. And that's the issue when you play against very talented Search and Destroy teams, especially in best of threes like this one, is that they're very lethal when it comes down to, no pun intended, when it comes down to best of threes, because S&D is that swing map. It's that swing game mode in map number 2. And now, like I said, with map number 3 coming up, CTF on London Docks, which I believe we're actually hopping into right now, they've got the momentum. They're feeling pretty confident. They say, hey, we probably should have won this one in a 2-0. And I think the sub duels are going to be very interesting on this map. Of course, subs for Lethal Gaming. And we talked about the man who's been hot despite the loss in map number 2, Stumpfy, finishes off very strong on St. Marie de Mar. And now looking on to London Docks, very fast-paced play. If you get 3, even 4 down, you could definitely do some work, as this is going to be a very interesting match. As 4 down off the break for Lethal Gaming. This is a problem here, Jen. As we talk about with London Docks, if you get 4 down, you can easily grab the flag. And just like that, this should be a flag secured within the first, 20 seconds of this match even starting. 4 go down, and just like that, we see a 1-0 in favor of the boys from EZG.
Only 2 kills on the board for Lethal. Talk about a complete collapse of the first minute. Quick cap there, and in succession, everybody got 1 kill. It wasn't really somebody just completely annihilating the other team. And we talked about Stumpfy drops the 40 kills into hardpoint, and he's looking to do the same exactly in the CTF. But Teddy Rex was the one that dropped the double digits, so he's got to be double digits in S&D. So we're looking for him to really stand out and turn up for Lethal, and that's exactly, I believe, why they won that S&D. And you can see Lethal are trying to crawl back into this one. That's 2 down for each squad. Make it 3 down for EZG. Now it is Lethal on the offensive.
Indeed it is, and Stumpfy kind of hanging in the back lines. We'll have a few teammates to kind of join alongside of him in support, but here comes the 3-man rush from Lethal. Kind of a 3 versus 4. Checking the wrong corner, does Atura. Teddy Rex is there to pick him off, but it looks like 2 players drop. Ramby around the corner does fall as well. So an unsuccessful offensive push being made from the guys on Lethal Gaming is now kind of back toward the old strats, back to the drawing board essentially, as Parzelion does take out MuTeX in that last gun engagement to kind of put them now on the offensive foot. But something to kind of keep in mind when it comes down to both these teams as far as the entire series goes, and now kind of closing things out here on CTF, is the chemistry, is the overall communication that comes into each match. And I think both these teams kind of possess a lot of that chemistry for the most part. I know for the guys on EZG, both Stumpfy and Atura have played on EZG in the past, back in AW, even in Black Ops 3. Both these guys have kind of played under this brand. And I know kind of coming into this title, kind of coming in toward the end of IW as another flag gets put in there for the guys on EZG, this was kind of, at least in past, for the guys on EZG fans of this group, this was Paranoia, and once Casmo kind of came up and turned the age of 18, this was kind of their team. And so now kind of coming into this new year, JHaze gets picked up from Merkin Clan. This is kind of a new group who gets formed. So I feel like they have a lot of chemistry. EZG is a organization who kind of has had a lot of top AMs or kind of a lot of players who've played very loyal to this brand for obviously a particular reason. So I feel like they have chemistry, they have a lot of things kind of working for them. And if you're the side of Lethal Gaming, right, we talk about Search and Destroy tournaments, how often these OLTs are going on. These guys are involved in these matches every single night and have been for the last few years, even including Jetpack titles as well. So I feel like there's obviously communication that needs to be there, there's chemistry that has to be there as well. And I feel like both these teams definitely possess both of those qualities, Jen.
Well, after all is said and done, that's already a flag cap, as you did mention, for EZG, looking for the third one, and that's Atura, who's almost double positive, I guess, technically, and Stumpfy as well, almost double positive. So many positive people on EZG who are lethal, struggling. They're spawning out of their base, but as Stumpfy already pretty much going to get the third cap for EZG, and this is just round number 1, and we have casted over some pretty painful CTFs, 7-0, where host having to end the game. And Lethal just struggling to get kills on the board. They have Ramby, who's 2-9. They have Mumu, or MuTeX, who had some flag pulls, but was not able to stay alive, not getting the support that he needs. Lethal now onto the offensive. EZG now playing some defense. The Parzelion goes down, but this is trades going back and forth. EZG, not only can they pull a flag, they can play some good defense before I say that 3 go down. And that's Teddy Rex looking for the first flag pull for Lethal as they get that final kill onto Atura. But let's see if they can actually bring this one home.
And trying to make his way is MajorManiak. You kind of notice the interesting kind of points of view, players taking out others from the back lines as Maniac just happens to find the nice line sight there onto JHaze. Welcome to the kill feed. Welcome to that respawn screen as MajorManiak totally turns on JHaze to put in that last flag cap at the end nearly of this first half. Into this first half, excuse me. As that is a highlight play to say the least. And I was kind of talking about till the end of what was a later flag cap for Lethal Gaming. Notice the pushes. Notice the players who aren't necessarily looking at the flag carrier. That just goes to show to the obviously ping delay that the CTF flag carrier has when it comes down to the minimap, just because of the chaos that this map does provide. A number of different things going on at one time. The kill feed is going to be seeing 3 to 4 players at all times, but just like that, speaking of the kill feed, it starts to light up in favor of the blue team. Being EZG in the back lines, it will be Atura who will score this flag in the last few seconds, now up to 4 as EZG are in prime control to most likely take out Lethal in this third map. But of course, Jen, we talked about London Docks, how fast-paced of a game mode this is, especially combination rather. And granted, well, 3 flags is obviously a very solid lead. It's definitely one to be taking note of. Like I said, in 5 minutes, we saw 4, or actually total 5 flag caps go down. Essentially, this is not a a moment where we're looking at Lethal Gaming and say this isn't possible. I mean, this is definitely possible for them. Like I said, I think MajorManiak might have full streaks to rock with. If we can actually look at his point of view really quick. I think Maniac does have streaks, if I am correct. Yes, so does have full streaks. This is by no means a situation where we're looking at Lethal Gaming and saying, hey, you got 5 minutes to put in 3 flag caps. Well, it's London Dock CTF. We've got full streaks. This is definitely a moment where we can kind of look at this and say, they're not out of this one just yet.
Well, EZG, what they do so well is they flood one lane and get all the kills in their favor. Already 2 down. Stumpfy gets his hands on the flag. Let's watch what he's able to do. Atura by his sides, clearing up MuTeX, wow, going for the lethal spawn. That's already a 5th cap for EZG. Wow. And like I said, what they're able to do well is flood these lanes and get 1st and 2nd kills. And Lethal don't know how to respond in terms of playing a defense, and maybe they're just in the wrong position and not able to have the advantage into a gunfight. Nonetheless, EZG looking good here in round number 2.
And I think, honestly, if you're EZG, you probably, at least based off of their strong suits, which are and is the SMG play, I think they probably couldn't have been more happy or more thrilled with the patch that obviously recently came out, kind of buffing up most of the SMGs, kind of limiting the FG in total as far as assault rifles are considered. Definitely more of a SMG kind of base game heading into NOLA. But this group definitely succeeds in that particular role, and I'm glad you kind of brought up, Jen. They're definitely kind of flooding different routes when it comes down to this map, kind of flooding different entry points, and really that's where they're seeing their success. All kills coming at a close range, as now the rich are beginning to come richer. Streaks coming out, stuns as well, as Parzelion finding 2 with that bar will lead Stumpfy to easily having this flag most likely put in. But here come the streaks, I believe, from Atura, pulling those out. And I believe, yes, this is going to be another flag capture for the guys on EZG, as they are now up 6 flags to 1. Beginning to look more and more grim if you are the side of Lethal Gaming. Because when it comes down to this map, it's obviously very, very submachine gun heavy. And based off the guys from EZG, they've got 3 solid sub players who are constantly in your face at all time. One being Atura, second being JHaze, and obviously third, Stumpfy. They're obviously playing very strong right now, all of them.
Well, geez, I mean, Lethal get 4 down for EZG. They were going on a rampage, unfortunately setting 2 water and 2 through mid, and the 2 that went through mid losing that gunfight and everybody else getting cleaned up. MajorManiak, the last one left after all is said and done, but now his teammates are respawning. But can they protect him, which is what Lethal have been struggling with. They've had a bunch of flag pulls, but not able to protect their flag carriers. That flag carrier did get, I believe, naded in that process, and I believe the flag got returned in that sense. And EZG, not only can they protect their flag carriers so much well, they almost set up a spawn trap right after to guarantee them the flag cap after that. Streaks coming in actually from the side of Lethal, getting a couple members down for EZG, make it that a third. JHaze, the last one left, and he's on the complete other side of the map, perhaps waiting for the counter pull in this sense.
And you notice, right, I mean, the streaks coming from MajorManiak, but they're on a defensive end, and that's the issue when it comes into CTF, is that it really sucks to use your streaks on defense, because of course you'd love to use them on offense, use them to kind of take out the enemies from their spawn and grab the flag and even kind of pile on another one. But still, like, this is the issue, right, with EZG when it comes down to this particular game mode, and I think it's MajorManiak actually takes it himself while finding 2 in the end. It will most likely end out for a cap for Ramby, as Lethal Gaming will add in their second, but in total, I think this game mode really favors the guys from EZG a lot, is obviously because of their sub presence. This is a preferred role that they like to have. And I think the reason why it doesn't suit Lethal Gaming as much, at least based on the game right now, is because these guys are known for kind of slower paced, S&D. They like to kind of have things run toward them. They're kind of into those one-on-one, gunfights, kind of taking over a site and kind of just hanging out, and then obviously knowing different callouts from time to time. We also see them play very well when it came down to the hardpoint, which is for the most part a very standard match, right? This is one where we're going to see them kind of rotate effectively. Once you hold the spawns, you kind of wait on head glitches and kind of defend from there. And so we end up seeing the guys from EZG make a comeback, an unprecedented comeback, kind of take them out of their comfort zone. And now when it comes into London Dock CTF, like I said, a totally different match, a totally different combination of just straight up in-your-face sub play, which, like I said, has obviously preferred, especially Stumpfy so far in this series. But for the most part, it's obviously been his teammates who have been lining it up all at 20 kills. And looking at the other end, MajorManiak as well at 22, now at 23. I mean, it's obviously a major point to be looking at where your main assault rifle player is doing the best for you on a heavily sub map, and he's the only guy who's not running a sub. So definitely kind of looking at the overall scorecard, you can notice issues from Lethal Gaming when the guy who isn't playing the preferred role in this map is your kind of lead fragger at that.
Well, EZG, not only that, they've been having most of the map control this entire time. They've been dominating middle map, winning most of the fights there. And whenever Lethal get 3 down, they're not able to ever capitalize on the flag cap after, where I've mentioned again that they've gotten the flag pulls, but not necessarily able to defend the flag carrier after that. Where after all is said and done, it's a 6-2 game in favor of EZG, where they took the first hardpoint 250 to 247. They trail behind in the S&D 6-4, but they take the CTF with pure dominance. And I really want to highlight, I believe that was Atura with 23 kills on that side and 3 captures.
Yeah, major player from Atura. I know he was kind of doing a lot as far as the consistency is considered, from objective also towards slaying. But like I said, when it comes into this final scorecard, you notice MajorManiak 23 and 15, along with the capture for his team. I mean, generally, like I said, when it comes into London Docks, your main assault rifle player should not be having the most kills in a map. Normally for CTF, hey, that's fine. A lot of times in, classic CTF, when it came down to boots on the ground play, whether it was Black Ops 2, even Ghost, whatever it may be. Well, not really Ghost, but you know what I'm saying. When it came down to boots on the ground CTF, it's not unorthodox, for your assault rifle player, a guy who kind of hangs in the back lines for the most part, to be getting most of the kills around the map. Granted, when it comes to London Docks, everyone's kind of running every which way. It's pretty much chaos at that. But what I like from EZG, which kind of reminded me in some cases of a quote that I used to make about the old Team Revenge roster, is that everyone would say that they play so chaotic, they play so kind of random, but it's kind of like creative chaos. It's like controlled chaos for the most part. And you notice at different moments where the communication definitely had to be there. I know, Jen, you were kind of constantly calling it out throughout a lot of this game, but they're just pushing a lane as a team. Everyone's watching every kind of flank. It's almost like they're defending a VIP, because there's this one guy in the middle and all of them are kind of watching every which kind of point of view to make sure that no one's going to be attacking them. And that's exactly what they did, right? They were able to kind of find the kills necessary, especially in that last side where they're kind of making their way through barrel building. They don't have hardly any problems whatsoever, and Lethal Gaming was never, I think at times they were there to greet him with a stun, but there wasn't really a whole lot of, kind of last-second defense that they were trying to attribute to, just because they were all getting taken out in quick fashion, kind of constant 2v4, 3v4 fights that a lot of the time they're not going to win, especially when their SMGs aren't firing as well as EZGs are. So with that, like I said, up close and personal fight will go the way of EZG as they win this one in dominant fashion at 6-2 here on some CTF. But if you guys are familiar with London Dock CTF, this is by no means an unorthodox score. By any means, this one can definitely play fast, especially in every single game mode. So with that, I believe we're actually going to pull up our bracket to kind of see how things are doing, because I believe now that we see the guys from EZG do progress, they're going to be playing the winner of Gravity Gaming and 88 Chambers. Both teams very, very solid. I know for the guys on 88 Chambers, that's Human Jesus, Juju, Neode's team there as well. Curious to see how that match obviously does progress and see who obviously will meet EZG here in the semifinal. And then at the bottom, we've got 3 Kings Gaming going up against Gone Gaming. Winner of that will face off against a very talented Zodiac roster there as well. So the matches are obviously still progressing, and they're only going to get closer and closer. Full expecting to see quite a few more map 3s, I think it's fair to say here, Jen. But like I said, guys, that's going to do it for this series. EZG move on. Lethal Gaming eliminated, as I'm not going to lie, we've seen some pretty interesting results up to this point. I know in our last series we saw Orgulus, which is Havoc, BL-Fire, Mosh, and Legal's team drop to Gravity Gaming in a 2-0 fashion, which is already pretty surprising. And Lethal Gaming, like I said, I know what they can do. I know what they're kind of confident in when it comes in a series like this. Thought they were going to not necessarily wipe away with EZG, but I thought it was going to be a close series, but would go the way of Lethal. Not the case whatsoever. So at least in my opinions, maybe based off the chat's predictions, could be a little bit different. But 2 kind of unorthodox picks, I think it's fair to say, come underdog victories so far in this tournament. Curious to see if those obviously do progress. And it's obviously very interesting to kind of keep in mind these victories that are taking place, obviously heading into New Orleans, which obviously is a very hyped up tournament, and a lot of people are kind of saying it, and I will agree with that, the most important tournament probably of the year.